the most unfortunate problem, cracked screen. Not much you can do about it other than just replacing the screen and usually not covered under warranties.
Yeah, I imagine if it's not covered under warranty, your cracked screen's probably going to cost almost as much as the new TV in terms of repairs.
Absolutely. It all depends on what you're getting. If you're getting that early adopter stuff, like an OLED when those first came out, or
Mm.
the QLEDs, which have quantum dots, any of those newer things, 4K panels when those first came out in, I think it was 2013, we started
Hmm.
getting those regularly. That kind of stuff, you tend to see a much higher price for parts because they just don't mass produce them.
Yeah, makes sense. And hopefully by nowadays, 4Ks and OLEDs becoming quite commonplace.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, still definitely not cheap.
No, no, it's not. I can say now, though, I don't know of any kind of TV that would ultimately be more expensive to replace the panel or a part than it would be to replace the TV.
Mhm.
Usually the TV is way more expensive. We don't have anything right now really in that early stage other than maybe micro LED, but I don't think those are
Mhm.
necessarily consumer ready yet. Those are the small panels you put together to make a bigger screen.
Yeah, gotcha. Interesting then, yeah, because for other sort of home appliances and electronics that we've been talking about, sometimes if something does break, you're almost like with some parts of a washing machine. If that goes, you're almost better replacing the whole thing.
Yeah,
Is there like a ballpark figure you'd expect for a repair cost on a TV screen replacement? I know it can vary hugely, but just is there, any kind of rule of thumb?
I'd say probably about 50 to 70% the cost of the TV itself if you were to try and buy it again. And the biggest thing that would deter you from doing it even at that point, because 50% buying a new TV is pretty good savings. That's half the cost. If you got to do it, you
Yeah.
got to do it. But the problem is that if there's other things that go with it, like a main board can go because you can short out the LEDs depending on how you damage it physically. And if you short out
Hmm.
the LEDs, that could travel down one of the cables and short out some pins on the main board. If that happens, and you buy the panel, then you have to replace the main board too, that will probably be about the same cost of a new TV, and you have zero warranty if you do the work yourself. No one's going to give you a warranty on that. And unfortunately, with big companies like the one I used to work for, Best Buy, by harboring so much of the repair space for these things, especially in the United
Hmm.
States, you end up seeing less and less mom and pop shops and less repair places that are willing to go that extra mile. And there are more companies that require special certifications or trainings that they don't even give to small mom and pop shops without enough. They really just don't like giving that stuff out because they'd rather you buy a new one. Every company is always looking out
Yeah.
to increase their bottom line, and totally understandable. That's how business works. But be wary, if you buy your own parts, you're going to do it all yourself. You can definitely, definitely mess something up even worse and unfortunately waste some money. And the
Hmm.
only other part that I'd say would be anytime you open up an electronic that has any kind of power inverter built into it, that's AC to DC, you have to be very, very careful and understand exactly what you're getting into to know the dangers of something like that.
Yeah, so I'd say for anyone listening with a broken TV, definitely be on the cautious side. Is there any sort of moments? I mean, I guess it's maybe it's just if it's under warranty, then chase it up. But beyond that, I mean, it's probably pretty rare that it would be worth trying to replace the screen yourself.
Yeah, unless you have some kind of experience with stuff like that, if you like to tinker, you like to do stuff like that, there are plenty of videos that will probably go through exactly how to do it. And modern televisions really only are comprised of a panel, a main board, power board, and sometimes you'll have a board for the buttons. Sometimes you'll have a board for the remote, the IR input or RF, depending on what kind of remote you have, or Bluetooth
Hmm.
or a Wi-Fi board. But oftentimes those are either part of the main board or a little daughter board that sits all in one place. So although I mentioned a bunch of different things, They usually are right in the same spot and are all part of the same board. So you have the main
Hmm.
board, and then you'll have something like the IR, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, buttons all on the same board. So realistically, most TVs comprised of three PCBs, three boards that you'd have to replace, that you'd have to take off and take the cables with it. If you can do that, then they're easier than they used to be, but they still deal with a lot of high voltage and voltage regulation and everything. And they have capacitors that hold quite a bit of charge, and they can certainly hold charge
Yeah.
for 10 plus years. So you have to know what you're doing, be aware of what you're getting into, and it can be done, but I'd say the majority of people probably won't be doing it.
Yeah. So big caution sign there.